Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me once again is New York City Councilmember Joann Ariola. Councilmember, thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure to be here.
Councilmember, I really appreciate the time today because over the past few days, there's been a lot of news where New York City was involved. I want to start out with the international news, though. U.S. forces over the weekend conducted a coordinated military raid in Venezuela and captured the country's sitting leader, Nicolas Maduro, along with his wife. Maduro was indicted on drug, narco-terrorism, and weapons charges, and he was brought to New York City, where the Southern District of New York will be prosecuting the case. So to start off the conversation, you're a member of City Council. You wake up to the news along with the rest of the world on Saturday morning. I mean, what are you thinking? What's your reaction?
My reaction was one of excitement. I felt that this needed to be done. I know that a lot of Venezuelan Americans agree that this was a dictator that was terrorizing the Venezuelan people and also a major source for cartel fentanyl to come into our United States of America, killing our citizens.
I know that Congress wasn't told about the operation before it happened, and that was a real point of contention. But I'm curious, as a member of City Council, what you were told beforehand or during, if you were briefed at all. Were you told that Maduro was coming to New York City? I mean, what do you think of the handling of this?
Well, the city council nor the mayor would have the clearance, the security clearance for that type of information. And I believe that this was an operation that did not need congressional okay. And I agree with the president wholeheartedly. It had to be done. He had to be taken into custody. Venezuelans had to be released from the terror that they've been living with since he's been in charge. And we needed to stop the flow of fentanyl into our country.
The charges that he was charged with or accused of being a narco terrorist. Fentanyl wasn't in there, though. They were cocaine as well as weapons charges. What do you make of that? Do you think that here, this type of military raid, this type of operation to extract him, to bring him to the country, do you think that that just is justified?
I believe it is justified. And I believe that as you go along, I believe other charges will be brought against this terrorist because that's exactly what he is, a terrorist. And it may not say fentanyl now, but it is well known the fentanyl, it comes from the cartels in Venezuela.
And I know that some of your colleagues, as well as the new mayor, they've criticized President Trump over this. New York City Council member Tiffany Caban, she said that this was illegal, it was unconstitutional, and this attack wasn't for drugs, it was for oil and power and to distract from the Epstein files. What do you make of that characterization?
I think that's just simply her opinion.
And so
I
you
don't find any
obviously,
truth in
from
that.
this conversation, I'm gathering that you don't agree with that.
I don't agree with it, but it's her opinion and she's entitled to it.
And Mayor Mamdani, he said that he called the president, spoke with him directly, and he registered his opposition to the act. What do you make of that?
Well, I believe that he said he's called over. He spoke with the president, but he did not have the security clearance necessary to be read in on this operation. So he was relying on other people within his circle who do have that clearance to gain information.
And there are tens of thousands of Venezuelans in New York City right now. More came during the migrant crisis a few years back. As a member of City Council, what's your message to them?
I think that my message to them is that I am very happy for them. And I saw them outside of the detention center on television. I watched them in the thousands, just thanking the president, thanking the United States for getting involved, thanking them for freeing a country that was under siege by a terrorist. And they're very relieved now for their friends and family who still remain in Venezuela.
I'm curious what's next as it comes to New York City's involvement. Maduro, just on Monday, he said he was innocent. He said he was a prisoner of war. He reportedly said he was kidnapped. He's being held in a Brooklyn jail right now until his next hearing, March 17th. As a member of City Council, do you know or were you briefed on anything regarding, the next movements because this is such a high profile international case?
The city council has not, to my knowledge, been briefed, but I'm sure that our NYPD commissioner, Jessica Tisch, has been in constant contact with law enforcement agencies on all levels of government. And I'm sure she has been briefed, and the mayor have been briefed to the ability given to them by their security clearance.
All of this news regarding Venezuela and Maduro came just days after Zohran Mamdani was officially sworn in as New York City's 112th mayor. He immediately, after being inaugurated, signed a host of executive orders. He also vowed that he is going to be ushering in a new era for the city. So, what do you make of his first few days in office? What are your thoughts here?
Well, I think that he's made a number of missteps with his appointments. I think that a lot of his appointments were not vetted properly, and that's a problem. And I think that a lot of them have misspoken on social media and such. One of the first things he did was revoke 9 executive orders, two of which were very important to the Jewish people, and it included, removing the IRA, which is the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, and that identifies uh, um, it identifies anti-Semitism, which is very important to the Jewish community, and also identifies a boycott of BDS, which stands for Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions. We all know that. We've been listening to it for quite some time. And those are some things that the mayor will not commit to. He will not commit to identifying anti-Semitism as a thing. He will not commit to boycotting BDS, and he will not commit to fighting back on Globalize the Intifada. And those are 3 things that are making our Jewish community very concerned, and I don't blame them.
During the campaign, though, he did say when it came to Globalize the Intifada that was essentially, I believe, I don't have the quote in front of me, but a bridge too far. But he said that he revoked all of Adams's executive orders that were signed after the former mayor was indicted back in September of 2024. He said that that's when New Yorkers, a lot of them, lost trust in the city. He was starting a clean slate. And he said that protecting Jewish New Yorkers is going to be a focus of my administration. There were a lot that were critical of those 2 executive orders that he revoked. As you said, they said some people have said that is blatant anti-Semitism, but Mamdani, I believe, doesn't see it that way, because he said that that's going to be a focus of his administration. He's keeping the mayor's office to combat anti-Semitism. Do you think that's enough?
It isn't enough. It wasn't enough when Mayor Adams put it into place. It is an office of one person. We've had multiple anti-Semitic graffiti incidences in my district, and different actions that took place throughout the city, with protesting outside of synagogues while religious ceremonies were happening, and that office was ineffective. It was non-existent, and I believe it will become even less existent during this mayoralty.
And just earlier in your previous comment, you did say that you aren't too happy with some of his appointments. You think that they're missteps. Who exactly are you talking about?
Well, his chief counsel, he is someone who was a representative for terrorists that attacked our city, for Al Qaeda. And then there is the endorsement of various assembly candidates, one of which would like to cancel Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, 4th of July. These are not people who should be making policy for America, because they'd like to cancel America, cancel American values, cancel American holidays, and it just isn't fair. And I think that the mayor showing that these are the people that he trusts, that is a problem. Just recently, he appointed Cea Weaver as the new director of the city to the Office to Protect Tenants. And she said in a video online back in 2019 that homeownership is a weapon of white supremacy. Now, for that alone, she should be dismissed, because we, as white Americans and white residents of this city, have rights too. It's not just people of color who have rights. White people have rights too. And we have rights to home ownership. And that is a very racist statement, and she should be held accountable and dismissed for that.
I know that a lot of the world, at least a lot of New York, was surprised when President Trump back in November had a meeting with Mamdani, and he said that Mamdani might surprise some conservatives. Some of his ideas are the same as my ideas. He called him a very rational person. So, A, do you agree with President Trump's characterization there? And B, is there any area that you could see yourself working with the mayor on?
I watched Mayor Mamdani with President Trump in that news briefing that they gave, and I was hopeful, and I think the president was hopeful. I think it's important to American citizens, it's important to New York City citizens that the president, the governor, and the mayor and the city council can work together to make sure that the city is successful. In the end, all anybody wants is the city to be successful, and I had a brief conversation with the mayor, and I made that very important to me. That is what I am focused on, is making sure that my constituents receive the services they need for law enforcement, for quality of life, to make sure that my Jewish community feels safe. And the mayor can be very convincing and he can be very charming, but what he's saying does not match what he's doing. And the people that he's surrounding himself brings me to the saying, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are.
And I'm curious, when you had that, I know you said it was very brief conversation with the mayor. Did it seem that he was receptive to your ideas and what you were saying?
He was receptive to what I was saying, but what I was making was generalities. We haven't had a face-to-face meeting. I was speaking in generalities of what's important to my district. But when he's seeking to replace or minimize the NYPD with the Office of Community Public Safety, that tells me that he's not looking to put more police officers on the job, put more classes in place, or even keep the classes that are already in place there. Now, he's not spoken to those things yet, but certainly I'm hoping that he keeps everything in place. And I know that Jessica Tisch really wants those things kept in place, but the president is taking a wait and see attitude, and I'm taking a wait and see attitude. So far, what I'm seeing is that we're in trouble.
And I'm curious, what's next then? I know he was just sworn in less than a week ago. The holidays are done. There's a lot of things happening in New York City right now. But what's next for working with the mayor? And I know you're taking that wait and see approach. You're not too happy now. But what's next? Are you meeting with the mayor anytime soon? Do you have any conversations like that? How long are you going to wait and see?
We're immediately requesting a meeting with the mayor with our common sense and Republican delegations. That's very important. He needs to know that we are, a block of city council members that are interested in certain things like public safety, quality of life, education, and the mayor has to understand that although we are in the minority as Republicans, we are equal to any other member of that body, because we each represent, give or take, a few thousand people, the same amount of people. So it's not really about, he shouldn't look at us as a minority conference without a say. He should look at us as city council members that are representing over 170,000 constituents that are both ours and his.
And New York City is obviously, I don't need to tell you, a very blue city. As a Republican, do you think that past mayors have often overlooked Republican members of city council?
I think that we were a very strong group, especially, as you know, I was the minority leader in 2025, and I made it a point to be a very strong advocate for public safety and quality of life education. And those were my three top. And then, of course, there was affordability. And I like good affordability, good development. I was not a proponent of the city of yes, because it takes too much power away from a city council member, where those 170 plus thousand people elected that person to be their voice at City Hall, and it took away that voice. So we're going to have to work a little bit harder. Yes, you're right. As a Republican member, we have to work harder, but we have to really put our shoulder to the grindstone now and make sure that our districts are kept safe. and they don't get overdeveloped, and they have the police that they need. They have the quality of life, like garbage pickup and graffiti removal, and our parks are clean and our beaches are fully staffed. And that's all the things that I'm going to be focusing on when our delegation meets with the mayor.
Council member, I look forward to continued conversations on all of this and more. Thank you so much for joining me. You're welcome back anytime.
I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I definitely will be back.